Hey everyone, this is Steve from Experience Milwaukee, and I have to say a few things before we jump into this episode with Milwaukee Downtown CEO Beth Weirick. There's a lot here, kind of a lot, so bear with me for just a couple of minutes. And first of all, thank you, thanks so much, all of you for listening. The response to the podcast has been amazing. We are growing each week, and appreciate that so much, and really motivates us to continue to put all of this content together every week. Also, thanks to all of you who joined us during Startup Milwaukee Week for the live recording with Wantable founder and CEO Jalem Getz. Lots of fun and a really great opportunity to meet you, our listeners, and subscribers in person, and enjoy some of that amazing food over at Transfer Pizzeria Cafe. Also, thanks to those of you who have purchased and I see sporting around town an Experience Milwaukee podcast t-shirt. If you don't have one but want one, they are only $20, and you can get them only by emailing me, Steve, at experiencemilwaukeepodcast.com. And have to mention, if you want to stay up to date with new shows, what's coming up, please follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you are subscribed on any of the platforms where you find and listen to podcasts, I guess it'd be great too if you would leave a review, good or bad, comments, whatever they are. Just throw them out there. It will only help to improve the show. Okay, so let's get to some other things here. If you don't know, this podcast is sponsored by Transfer Pizzeria Cafe, located on 1st and Mitchell in Milwaukee. Check them out at transfermke.com. Great place, great environment. We do actually record several of our shows there as well when we can. But yeah, give them a check. Stop in for lunch, for dinner. There's always something happening over there, music and entertainment and great food. Speaking of music, the show music, the intro and the outro, are both brought to you by Black Belt Theater, a super amazing Milwaukee band. You can find more info on them on Facebook, including of course, their music, videos, maybe a little crazy videos, and tour dates, as always. Check them out. Support local music any way you can. Always great. And if you are a music fan thinking of visiting Milwaukee, we've got a great scene here for you to get into. So, all right. I'm really excited to share this episode with Beth Weirick, the CEO of Milwaukee Downtown, which is Business Improvement District number 21. Milwaukee Downtown has been around for quite some time, established in 1998, and really they are there to support the interests of the downtown Milwaukee business community by creating a clean, safe, and friendly downtown. And if you have been there or if you are considering coming to downtown Milwaukee, they do just that. Clean, safe, friendly, a great interactive, engaging downtown in Milwaukee. And incredibly, they do this across about 150 blocks, which represents about 500 commercial property owners. Incredible work, but you'll hear more in this episode. If you want to learn more, you can visit them, check them out at milwaukeedowntown.com. And with that, here's our conversation with Beth Weirick, CEO of Milwaukee Downtown. Hello, Beth, and welcome to the Experience Milwaukee podcast.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
It's awesome to have you here. We go way back to early days of the company I used to run and collaborating around things in downtown Milwaukee. So it's great to have you on the show and talking about the things you love most about this city.
And who would have ever predicted this city would be as awesome as it is? We
Today,
would have,
right?
probably.
We did. I think we wrote it down somewhere.
I think we did.
Yeah, I'm sure we did. We blogged it or tweeted it or something like that. So before we jump into some very tough questions about Milwaukee, why don't you give, for those listening who are outside of the city, don't know much about Milwaukee Downtown, maybe a little bit of background, sort of the how, where, and why.
Sure. So the organization that I work for is called Milwaukee Downtown. And we are a business improvement district. And a business improvement district is essentially commercial property owners within a very specific geographic area who have a very focused mission. And they pay an annual assessment to our organization to help us fulfill the goals and objectives of the organization, which in our case are very focused on promoting downtown Milwaukee as a regional destination. So we have about 500 commercial property owners who fund our organization. We are right now celebrating our 21st year, and our stakeholders have really seen the value in having a focused strategy and being very specific in where our resources are going and how we're telling the story about downtown Milwaukee to really help it grow economically with job growth, adding tax base, attracting visitors, and really enhancing the quality of life within our community.
That's really cool. So a business improvement district, often referred to as a BID.
Right.
But you guys have done a really good job branding your BID and making it, giving it life, creativity. What do we, as people roaming downtown, how do we see or feel the things that your organization does?
Well, I think seasonally you see and feel them. Most people don't know that it's the BID, and I think we're okay with that because really our primary objective is to enhance the quality of life in downtown Milwaukee. But for example, in the spring, you would see and feel the excitement around Taste and Toast, which is a really great week-long happy hour event. You would begin to see the super block cleanups taking place where clean sweep crews are out in the street and they're power washing the sidewalk, they're removing graffiti, they're really doing a great job with spring cleaning and preparing for a really busy summer. You'll see our landscape crews out there planting right. The beautiful flowers that go up, and in late spring you'll see our crews that are working on the installation of the public art for Sculpture Milwaukee.
Sure.
So throughout the city, it depends upon, there's various times of year that you would see the work that we're heavily engaged in. And it's really about clean, safe, and friendly. And I know that term is overused, but when you look at basic human needs, desires, wants, and what people feel when they visit an area, those are things that are important to people: clean, safe, and friendly. And so that's really our basic core services, but we do so much more beyond that to really brand downtown Milwaukee and to focus on programming that really drives consumers into our businesses and really helps our visitors, our residents, and our workforce build a strong connection with our community through a variety of ways.
Sure. So I just imagine you have a very thankless job. You have a whole team of people doing all of these things behind the scenes, and everyone loves downtown Milwaukee, and no one gives you credit, the credit you deserve at least. But, however, what kind of feedback along those lines do you get on the positive side from the business owners or visitors themselves?
Well, I get a lot of great feedback. I think just in general, people who feel connected to their community, they always want to give you their suggestions and ideas on how you can make it better.
Right.
And so I have a wonderful long list of fabulous ideas.
Projects to work on, right?
And it's,
yeah.
but you never know. It may rise to the top and you may be able to get that done. We really do engage in market research, and it's really important for us to get feedback from our stakeholders and the variety of constituents that we serve. And we do hear that the projects and programs that we bring to fruition are really important to our visitors. And I just equate it back to just my own personal experience. I just spent 2 weeks in France. And, what do you take away from you? Yeah, there's, when you're in Paris, there's the Eiffel Tower and there's the Arc de Triomphe. But to me, it's about that experience, that immersion into the culture of the people who live there,
Right.
the food they eat, the art they love, the conversations they have, a picnic on the river, and I think those are the kinds of things that we create here, and we get good feedback from our stakeholders and from our constituency that it is clean, it is safe, it is friendly, that they see value in the events that we do, whether it's Dining Week or Employee Appreciation Week or the Holiday Lights Festival, and that we help to create an environment that is really memorable. And so there are certainly people who thank us, and then there are certainly people who have opinions and ideas about other things that we could do to make the community even better. But I think that's one of the great things about Milwaukee is that a lot of people take ownership of it.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Whether they're visitors or residents, right?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So switching it up a little bit, just kind of taking your perspective into consideration, how do you describe Milwaukee to someone who's never been?
Well, I describe Milwaukee as one of the most beautiful cities that you will ever visit, that enjoys the four seasons, that is situated on the Great Lake, Michigan, which some mistake for an ocean, with a beautiful, sparkling skyline that is expanding nearly every week, it
Right.
seems like, surrounded by a series of really wonderful, unique neighborhoods that will give you a different experience with each and every one that you visit. And of course, fabulous, wonderful Midwestern charm and hospitality, great food, music, and culture.
Love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
that was brief, wasn't it?
It was perfect. I think some people who may be listening may be writing all that down and using it for themselves, depending on what kind of work they do. But that's one of the best ways I've ever heard it put. So great job.
Yeah, well, I think too, that it's just, I think we hear repeatedly whenever we have new people who come and visit the city that it is so much more than they ever expected.
They're surprised,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, we definitely underpromise and overdeliver, and they are
Absolutely.
pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. It's funny, my wife, who works for Visit Milwaukee, stores visitors guides in my car, and we often run into people from out of state, out of town, and share that with them. Even on vacation, we ran into a couple who were on their way here, and we shared some of those same thoughts around what they should do while they're here for a few days. So
it's so nice we have so many good Milwaukee ambassadors out there.
Everywhere there are ambassadors, right? So as someone in the business of promoting the cool, funny, quirky things about Milwaukee, how have you seen, and this has been an interesting question for previous guests, but how have you seen pride in the city change or, grow? What has it done over the past few years, several years?
I love this question. I mean, if I could go back to my high school years, I'm a product of MPS, and
Me too.
Yeah. And I remember taking the number 10 bus to Mecca, which,
Okay.
as you know, was the arena at the time.
Yep.
That we would go see concerts at. And I believe it was Foghat, Boston, and maybe REO Speedwagon. And I remember getting off the bus and thinking, and I was 16. And even though we used to go downtown and do Sunday drives with the family, it was like my first experience as a teenager looking at the city thinking like, wow, it's just so dead down here.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel like at that moment in my life, I didn't know what it would be, but I would be involved in something that would bring life and vitality back to our downtown. Because I remember stories from my grandparents and my aunties and uncles from Tuesday night, watching Wheel of Fortune, to Friday night fish fries, and them talking about how wonderful it used to be when they would take the interurban downtown and, and they would go ballroom dancing and they would have a fabulous time at the theaters. And then I love now when I leap forward to where we are today and look at the progress that we've made. When our business improvement district was first created 21 years ago, I remember people would say, "Oh, Beth, you're such a Pollyanna. Are you kidding me? This city is hopeless or
Right.
it's never going to bounce back. And I always said, oh my God, we're like the Who's in Who'sville. It's like, we are here, we are here, we are here. And I think, that we've done a really good job of telling the story because Milwaukee is a great product. When you think about pitching something, the built environment, the natural environment with the waterways and our great lakefront and the great quality of life, and then, of course, the growing industries and economy here. And I look at the nightlife. Our nighttime economy is booming. And again, the expansion of arts and culture. We've become a magnet. And what I love now is just how many people almost argue over who loves Milwaukee more.
Right.
So it's like, hey, what about me?
It's funny. So Frank Kepler was on the previous episode, and he talks about very similar things, but from his perspective as creating products to display, things about the city, and where they couldn't give away shirts that had Milwaukee on them to their employees, the young employees at the time, 20 years ago. And now it's just everyone you see has some kind of Milwaukee shirt on.
Oh, absolutely. And you see people in line at the public market or, at the Grand Avenue for those Brew City Beer Gear
I
t-shirts,
know. They're
right?
after, right.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So I don't think I need to ask this question, but I'm going to ask this question. But why do you, maybe in a sentence or two, why do you love Milwaukee?
Well, I love Milwaukee because it's my home. I'm, born and raised in the city girl, and I feel a lot of emotional attachments here because of the people. I've raised my children here. My grandchildren are here. But really, more than anything, I think it's probably the passion and commitment that folks in this community have in really growing the city and all working together to really make it a fabulous destination. It might sound quirky, but that really is what I love about this city.
Now, I would echo a lot of those things as well. So it's and it's authentic. I know, just knowing you, and I think the audience can feel that as well. So, maybe some rapid fire things. Favorite anything to do in Milwaukee? Maybe
eat.
3 things. How about what?
Eat.
Eat, right.
I mean, definitely dining. I love going out to eat. I love just the culinary experiences and the wide array of restaurants that we have in the city. I love the farmers markets, and it's not just to go there and buy the fresh produce, but it's just to socialize with people and just to make that connection from, rural to urban and that whole farm to table concept. And then I love how we are really just being saturated with arts and programming in our third spaces. Like, I love our ethnic festivals, and oh my God, I love Summerfest, but I love some of the things that are just popping up in our neighborhoods, like this past weekend was India Fest at Humboldt Park, and, just strolls along the River Walk or the River Challenge, just the things that sort of pop up in the neighborhood.
Right. And speaking of third space, I've got a third space right here.
Yes,
yeah,
you
so
do.
I'm enjoying a third space brew. Okay, more rapid fire. Favorite color?
I would say royal blue.
Royal blue, okay. Favorite food?
Oh, gosh. Well, I've really been into meat on the street lately, the Filipino food. It's awesome.
I haven't tried that yet, so
oh my gosh.
I'll look out for it.
Yeah, well, in Fauntleroy, French food. Just tried that new restaurant. Awesome. Amazing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Number 1 hobby right now?
Cooking.
So everything
there
does
seems to be food
revolve
related,
around,
doesn't it? Yeah.
Favorite song?
Well, gosh, that's a tough one. My husband passed away a year ago, and so I've been listening to Van Morrison a lot lately, and Into the Mystic is a song that right now is just resonating with me. But if you ask me in a month, it'll be a different favorite song.
Something else,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of, I'm stuck in a time period of music from 90s and 80s, and I often jump into whatever's current through the kids, whatever they're listening to.
Yes.
Or you go to a band that you like from back in the day, and a new opening band you discover through that process. So,
I agree.
So that's been fun.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of cover. My daughter's a DJ, so I'm exposed to a lot of music. So
you're on the cutting edge.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's difficult. Yeah.
It's hard to keep up. I know.
mean, I even listen to country music occasionally now.
Yeah. My kids love that.
Yeah.
Favorite holiday?
That's so hard.
Tough one.
Because I love Thanksgiving because I cook for my family.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I love Christmas because it's just family getting together. And to me, Christmas is a season, not a day.
And in downtown Milwaukee looks fabulous during the holidays. So,
It really
yeah.
does. It really does. And it gets better every single year.
So, techie question: what app do you use most outside of work?
Well, it probably won't surprise you that it's Open Table.
Okay. Making
You know,
reservations.
right? And then Uber to get
Sure,
me there,
sure.
you know, or if I'm driving, MKE Park.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm on all of those as
I'm
well.
so practical.
We have to get things done quickly, right?
Yeah.
So wrapping up, how, and again, you know, someone who's so immersed in downtown and the city as a whole, and I'm sure the outlying suburbs and neighborhoods, how do you see, or what do you see for the future of Milwaukee? What's on the horizon?
Well, I see enormous opportunity for us to really continue the investment in the brick and mortar, which I think is critically important as we continue to add to the tax base and become a much more competitive environment in attracting a workforce. I love the continued collaboration between our workforce and our higher ed institutions, you know, whether it's Marquette or MSOE or MyEd.
Right.
You know, and I look at some of the industries, you know, Johnson Controls and Manpower and GE Healthcare and medical and those collaborations. And I think that's really key. I think we're all keeping a keen eye on the Foxconn opportunity and that what that ripple effect will mean. And the other thing that I really love about it is we are beginning to have conversations, not just about downtown Milwaukee and not just about the near downtown neighborhoods and not just about the city, but really about the region and the implications for the success of the region and what those implications will mean to the rest of the state in a really good positive way. And I love that we're starting to have statewide dialogue around strengthening southeastern Wisconsin as a region. And I see and feel a lot of hopefulness to continue a really strong economic growth for all of us, and we will all prosper. And I'm a big believer in the dynamic laws of prosperity, and with the effort, energy, talent, creativity, and innovation of Milwaukeeans in southeastern Wisconsin, I just believe the sky is the limit.
Great. Yeah, I agree. And even how those initiatives will reach some of the underrepresented neighborhoods around town that, you know, I think will just make Milwaukee better overall.
Yeah.
So if you leave here, you, Beth, and you, the audience, with any one thing, I think you need to know Milwaukee is lucky to have you. It's the work you do is tremendous, and we all feel it as we walk around downtown. So thank you so much, and thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
All right, talk soon.
All right.
All right, bye.